when 12-year-old Jamal saw the sleek black car stranded on the side of the road. He didn't know his decision to help would change the rest of his life. He was just a kid from the wrong side of town with dirt on his sneakers and a heart full of hope. What he didn't know was that the man inside the car wasn't just any man, he was a millionaire. And that moment, under the hot afternoon sun, would mark the beginning of a story that would shock everyone who heard it. It was just another hot, dragging Thursday afternoon when Jamal started his walk home from school. The sun beat down hard on the cracked sidewalks, and his old sneakers slapped against the pavement with every step. His backpack was heavy, full of secondhand books, worn notebooks, and half a sandwich he hadn't finished during lunch. Jamal was used to walking this route alone, past the closed-down corner store, through the alley with the graffiti-covered walls, and along the stretch of road where the rich part of town began. That's when he noticed the car, a shiny black Mercedes, pulled over with its hazard lights blinking. The front tire on the driver's side was flat, nearly shredded. A tall man in a pressed dress shirt and slacks stood next to it, tapping his phone with a look of pure frustration. Jamal slowed down. He could have kept walking. He didn't know this man, and in a neighborhood like his, most people were taught not to get involved with strangers, especially rich ones. But something about the man's face, the way he kept glancing around helplessly, made Jamal pause. "You okay, Mr. Jamal asked, shading his eyes with one hand. The man looked up, startled, then gave a weak smile. "Flat tire. I've been trying to get someone on the phone, but no luck. My spare's in the trunk, but I've never changed one in my life." Jamal looked at the car, then back at the man. "I can do it," he said simply, "if you've got the tools." The man blinked. How old are you?" 12, Jamal replied. "But I've changed more tires than you probably ever will. My uncle runs a garage. I help out on weekends." There was a pause. The man gave a small chuckle, stepped aside, and popped the trunk. Jamal set his backpack down and got to work. The pavement was hot, and the tools weren't perfect, but he didn't complain. He loosened the bolts, lifted the car with a jack, and replaced the ruined tire with a spare all in under 15 minutes. The man watched the whole thing in disbelief. "That was impressive," he said as Jamal wiped his hands on his shirt. "You saved me. I could have been stuck here for hours." Jamal shrugged. "It's no big deal." The man reached into his wallet and pulled out a crisp $20 bill. "At least let me give you something for your time." Jamal shook his head. "Nah, it's all right. Just glad to help." Then he picked up his bag and turned to leave. "Wait, what's your name?" The man called after him. "Jamal," he said over his shoulder. "See you around." And just like that, he was gone, disappearing down the street. The man stood by his car, still holding the 20, staring after the boy who had just changed his tire like it was nothing. But something deep in his gut told him this kid was something special. And that moment, that small act of kindness, it was only the beginning. The next morning, Jamal was sitting on the front steps of his apartment building tying his shoelaces before heading off to school when a sleek black SUV slowly pulled up to the curb. It didn't belong there. Everyone in the neighborhood noticed immediately. It was too shiny, too quiet, too clean. Jamal's mom, who was sipping coffee from a chipped mug by the window, stepped outside as a tall man in a sharp gray suit got out of the vehicle. Jamal recognized him instantly. It was the man with the flat tire. Only now he looked even more important, confident, like someone used to being in charge. "Hey there," the man said, smiling warmly as he approached. "Been looking for you." Jamal stood up, unsure. His mother moved beside him, her voice guarded. "Can we help you?" The man offered his hand. "Marcus Langston. Your son helped me yesterday, saved me. Really. I wanted to come say thank you properly." Jamal looked down, shy but curious. "I didn't do much," he mumbled. Marcus chuckled. "You don't know how rare that is, kid. You didn't just help, you did it without asking for anything in return. That stuck with me." Then he turned to Jamal's mom. "Ma'am, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but your son, he's got something special. I don't know many 12-year-olds who can fix a tire like that and walk away without expecting a dime." Jamal's mom looked surprised but stayed silent. "I own a few tech companies," Marcus went on. "I know potential when I see it, and I want to offer something more than just a thank you." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a crisp business card, holding it out to her. "I'd like to sponsor Jamal's education. Full scholarship to a private school in the city. All expenses covered, uniforms, supplies, everything. If he's open to it, I'd also like to mentor him, teach him some things that might help him." Later on, Jamal stared, mouth slightly open. He hadn't expected anything like this. His mom looked from the card to Marcus, then down at her son. "Are you serious?" she asked, still wary. "Dead serious," Marcus said. "He helped me without a second thought. Now I want to help him do more than just fix tires." There was a long silence. Jamal's mom's eyes shimmered with emotion. She didn't speak out loud. She'd always believed her son could do great things, but life didn't hand out chances like this, not here. Jamal finally looked up. "Why me?" he asked. Marcus smiled. "Because when no one was looking, you did the right thing. That tells me everything I need to know." Jamal looked at his mom, who gave a small nod, still stunned but proud. Jamal turned back to Marcus and gave a slow, hopeful smile. "Okay, I'll do it." Marcus grinned. "Good. That was the smartest yes you'll ever say." And from that moment, Jamal's world began to shift quietly, but completely. Life changed fast for Jamal after that day. One week he was walking cracked sidewalks and hand-me-down sneakers, and the next he was riding in a black SUV to a private school where the hallways smelled like fresh paint and the classrooms had smartboards instead of chalk. Everything felt strange at first. The students wore polished shoes and carried tablets, not torn notebooks. Some kids looked at him with curiosity, others with quiet judgment, but Jamal didn't let it shake him. He remembered where he came from, and he remembered what Marcus Langston told him on that first ride to school. "You don't have to fit in, just stand out in the right way." Every weekend, Marcus picked Jamal up and took him to his downtown office, skyscraper views, glass walls, and assistants who moved like they were late for something important. Jamal soaked it all in. Marcus didn't just talk about money or business. He broke things down, showing Jamal how to think critically, how to plan, how to spot problems and solve them. He taught Jamal to code, introduced him to books about leadership, and helped him build confidence. "The world's bigger than your block," he'd say, "and you've got the brain to go anywhere you want." Jamal worked harder than he ever had. At school, he caught up quickly. His teachers noticed his determination, especially in science and technology. He entered a coding competition with an app idea that helped students in underfunded neighborhoods find free tutoring centers and food banks using location tracking. It wasn't flashy, but it was real, and it won second place statewide. People began to notice. But Jamal didn't let the attention change him. After school, he still visited his old neighborhood. He still talked to his uncle at the garage and helped him fix up broken-down cars on Saturdays. "Can't forget where I came from," he told Marcus one day as they looked out the window of Marcus's office. Marcus nodded. "That's the key. Success without roots will blow away in the wind." Jamal understood that now. He wasn't just a lucky kid who changed a tire anymore. He was a young man with purpose, learning how to build something bigger than himself. And through it all, his bond with Marcus grew stronger, not just as a mentor and student, but almost like family. Marcus had no kids of his own, and Jamal had never had a father figure. They filled in each other's empty spaces without even meaning to. Jamal still had a long road ahead of him, but he was walking it with his head high, armed with tools most kids his age never got near. He was learning, growing, and beginning to truly believe that maybe his life was meant for something more, something great. By the time Jamal turned 18, the boy who once fixed a flat tire on a hot sidewalk had become something no one in his old neighborhood could have imagined: a tech founder with a mission. His app, which connected low students with free tutoring, school meal programs, and local support resources, had grown beyond just an idea. It caught the attention of a national nonprofit focused on education equity. And with Marcus's guidance and a small investment, Jamal turned it into a fully functioning platform that reached thousands of kids in cities across the country. He hired a small team, mostly young people like him, full of energy and ideas, set up his own office, modest but buzzing with purpose. Despite his rising success, Jamal never let the spotlight distract him. He spoke at schools, led workshops in struggling neighborhoods, and always made time to visit the garage where his uncle still worked. He kept every promise he'd made to himself, to stay humble, to give back, and to never forget that one small moment of kindness had been the start of everything. One day, as he stood in front of a packed high school auditorium, sharing his journey with students who looked just like he once did, nervous, uncertain, overlooked, he paused and took a deep breath. "People always ask what changed my life," he said. "Was it winning awards, getting investors, having my own company?" He shook his head gently. "It was none of that. It was helping a man with a flat tire when no one was watching. That one choice, that small action, turned into something I could have never imagined." You never know how far a simple good deed can go. Sometimes, doing the right thing opens a door you didn't even know was there. After the applause, a boy from the crowd came up to him, wide-eyed and nervous, and asked, "Do you think someone like me could do what you did?" Jamal smiled. He saw a reflection of his younger self in the boy, raw, unsure, but ready. "Not only can you," he said, placing a hand on the kid's shoulder, "you probably already started. Just keep doing the right thing, even when no one sees it. That's where real power begins." Years later, Jamal's app continued to grow, and so did his impact. Marcus Langston, now retired, often told people that meeting Jamal was the most important business deal he ever made. And Jamal, in every interview, every speech, and every classroom he visited, never stopped telling the story of how his life changed on the side of a hot road, when a simple choice to help someone turned into a life full of purpose. That moment, small as it seemed, didn't just change his path, it built it. And now, he was making sure others had roads of their own to walk, with fewer potholes and a lot more light. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Subscribe to The Black Struggle for more powerful stories that inspire and uplift our community.